Computer scientist Jeffrey Hinton is known as the godfather of artificial intelligence. He says AI has the potential to do good things in our world, but he also warned it could cause harm in an interview that aired last night on 60 Minutes.
I can't see a path that guarantees safety. We're entering a period of great uncertainty where we're dealing with things we've never dealt with before, and we can't afford to get it wrong with these things.
Can't afford to get it wrong. Why?
Well, because they might take over.
Joining us now is Kristian Hammond. He is the director of Northwestern's Center for Advancing Safety of Machine Intelligence and a professor of computer science. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, no, thanks for having me.
So that's a pretty strong statement from Hinton. In your research and understanding of AI, have you made a similar conclusion that AI could dominate the world one day? And I think the distinction has to be made when we say dominate the world. I mean, that sounds pretty ominous, but
it does.
I don't know.
Ominous as it gets.
Yeah, but like when we use that term domination, are we envisioning a Skynet type situation? I know you probably get this question from non-scientists all the time, or are we talking about something completely different?
I think there are substantial problems with AI and harms that are caused by it. The likelihood of an AI system deciding to take over the world while it's in the course of doing something for us is incredibly minute. And in fact, most scenarios that involve AI systems taking over because they're so smart and they figured out a way to do so, most of those scenarios are actually quite stupid and don't make a great deal of sense. And the problem is that if we focus on that kind of problem, we focus on worrying about Skynet, then we will miss all of the other things that are happening today that are causing harm for people today. And that right now is my issue. It's like if we worry about existential threat of AI, then we'll miss the fact that young women from the age of 13 to 23 have a rise in depression because of social media. There's online addiction. There are biases in systems. Recommendation systems might be bad for us. And if we focus on those harms and try to fix them, then we'll be 90% of the way there to making sure that AI systems don't take over the world.
And this is something you're talking about not getting too lost in the future. You've been talking about this for years. And at TED Talk a few years ago, you said that if we have a devastatingly bad relationship with machine intelligence. What contributed to you saying that? And does that type of relationship still persist today?
I think it persists in many places. And that is that when we think about AI, we think about this sort of autonomous device that's going to give us advice or tell us what to do. And a better way of thinking of it is a partnership. That is understanding what human beings do really well and what machines do really well and how to bring them together. And for me, the notion of building AI systems as completely autonomous, it's just a foolish one. They're not that good. But if we make them, if we build them to be partners with us, then we'll actually be going along a path that is such that they'll never be in a position where they can do harm to us without actually having a long conversation with us about it.
So, Professor, one of the language that is used around artificial intelligence is the threat of artificial intelligence replacing humans in the workforce. But I wouldn't have a problem with seeing a way that artificial intelligence, for example, can figure out ways to maximize crop efficiency to eliminate hunger in the world, or figure out a way to solve the threat of cancer and even possibly help scientists eliminate cancer in human beings. I mean, how do you wrestle with that? People say, well, I don't want to be replaced by artificial intelligence, by saying, well, there are some instances where you want artificial intelligence to replace human beings.
I think there are clear areas where the ability of AI systems to actually look through a huge mass of possibilities and come up with an answer. There are places where that is incredibly powerful, and you can think of them as being somewhat autonomous. But the reality is that even with the beloved ChatGPT right now, if you take a look at its output and are marveled by its output, one of the things you have to remember is that the output came as a result of someone asking for something and massaging the output as it was happening. That is to say, it already is a partner. It was designed to be a partner, not as an autonomous system. And the thing is that if we think in terms of partners, then our jobs are not at risk so much as our ability to scale ourselves is now a possibility. And if we stop thinking about the threat and think more about what the opportunity is to partner with machines and to take ourselves and take everything what we do well and scale it, I think that's what the future should look like.
Kristian Hammond, if we don't let you go now, we'll spend the next half hour talking about this with you. Thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it.
Oh, no, thank you.